we're joined by Brock Mogensen, Carson Camp, and Wesley Elidor. We'll open it up for questions.
Carson, walk us through that first touchdown. It seems like he had a couple big openings there, and then the rest was history.
Yeah, I was surprised I scored too, so I think everyone else was surprised. No, it's just we had a play concept designed and just didn't really pan out. Kind of just escaped the pocket, and I was able to just kind of see space from there. And it was going to actually run out of bounds, and I kind of like peeked over, and I just saw a lot of open more space. We kind of just took that, and like you said, the rest was history. So it was a good step for us, and everyone did their part by blocking upfield. So yeah, it was just a good starter for us, and that's what we needed was a little bit of fire on that first drive.
Yeah, I was just going to ask, how much did that set the tone?
Yeah, I mean, it 100% set the tone. I mean, these past two games, Montana and K-State, we've been going 3 and out. So to get a score right off the gate, I think is what we needed. And like I said, that kind of just was a domino effect. It just kind of continued after that. So, yeah, it definitely was creating some high spirits right after that and a lot of confidence, not just for myself, but the receivers and the O-linemen and running backs as well.
And Brock, getting over 200 tackles in your career today with 4, what does that mean to you?
I mean, it's cool opportunity, but just got to keep working and keep doing little things right.
Wes, there was a lot of openings in the receiving game today. I guess what was working against their DBs?
Just everything that we game planned. We didn't try to do too much. We didn't try to do too little. We ran our offense the way we practice it. Watching film, coaches getting us the cut ups and things that we need to study and use that against Cal Poly. We executed those things.
Carson, similar question, I guess, in the passing game. What were the openings that you were seeing?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of game planned a little bit of a one-high defense because that's what they played these past 2 games. But they did a little bit of that, and they came out in 2-high stuff. So really not a whole lot of changes made. Just get open, find the spaces that we need to find. I thought, all the plays that we came up with, Coach Nelson did a great job just making sure, hey, if we even get a 1-high look or 2-high look, we can still make things work. So I thought the receivers did a good job creating separation. The O-lineman did a good job pass protecting. The DNs on that Cal Poly team were really good, really athletic. So I thought everyone did a really good job up front. So, yeah, it was just overall we were all connecting and all clicking.
What happened on that play that you kind of came up hobbling from a little bit?
Being dumb, for starters. I just pulled the ball. I was thinking, we had about 7 minutes left. I was going to run out of bounds and try to protect myself, but at the same time, I was like, let's get the clock running. So I tried to stop on a dime and just kind of rolled my ankle, but everything was all good after that.
There's also a sequence in the first quarter where you were sacked twice in a row and you were kind of yelling back and forth to the sideline. What was going on there?
Just a little bit of frustration, that's all. I gotta keep my cool on that, and that was just a little of a miscommunication with myself and the receivers, but we'll get that fixed and everything. But yeah, nothing too crazy, nothing that was affecting the game or anything like that.
Brock, what's going on with the hand?
Fractured my thumb last week against Montana, so doc said I was able to play, so I was able to club it up.
Is there a timetable on when you could get the cast off or anything like that? Or?
I haven't heard anything on that.
And obviously the defense, had good performance overall, but still the big plays. How do you work on just kind of getting rid of those on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, like I said, the past 2 weeks, just mainly execution. Got to be deep a couple times. We gave up a couple big runs, but today I thought the defense brought a lot more energy. I don't know if it was because we were at home, but I thought we brought more energy. We got to do a little better on third downs, but all in all, came out, we battled hard.
Right. I guess for Carson and Wes, just starting the game off, just talking about how was it with Coach Nielsen calling plays for the first time?
It was definitely an adjustment, but like I said, I wouldn't say we necessarily changed up our playbook at all. It was still the same thing. It was more of adjusting to like pulling the signals from them.
Yep, and then just after scoring 21 points in the first quarter, not being able to score again until the fourth quarter, how was it just sticking with the game plan there and being able to put up 17 points in the fourth quarter to close out the game?
Well, I just want to go back on that first question. I thought he did a hell of a job coaching the offense. I think that's to do that and step up. He said he hasn't called an offense about 9-10 years, so everyone was like, oh, what's going on here? But I thought he did a phenomenal job. I just wanted to answer that right off the gate. But to answer your second question, it's a little bit, it's kind of weird, like scoring 21 points right off the gate, and then like you said, scoring 17 a little bit later. But just trusting the game plan. We knew things were going to hit. I thought you got to realize, this is a tough Cal Poly team. They kept it close at some point with Fresno State before they gave up a lot of points. But just trusting it, making sure we're communicating, and it starts up front. We were running the ball a little bit, maybe kind of getting stopped, but we trusted the coaches; they were going to make a quick game plan, and eventually, some of those runs started to hit at the end, and that's kind of about it right there.
Yep. And then for Brock, just talking about this was like the third straight week. The defense seemed like they were hanging in there, forcing stops all throughout the game, even when the offense might not have been scoring. Is it just really the mindset thing with you as the captain of that defense, just telling your guys maybe, hey, let's stick with this here?
Oh yeah, just coming back to the sideline. I mean, we got a lot of great leaders on the defense coming back and saying, "Hey, let's come out here and go 3 and out." Or like today, we had a lot of situations when they were inside their 30 and 20, and we came out with stops and they didn't score any points. So it's just all them leaders on the defense telling us to, buckle down and play our way.
Yep, and then just one more for Carson, a 300-yard game this week. How did it just feel after those first 2 games, being struggling a bit, being able to air it out this weekend?
Yeah, I mean, it felt great. Like I said, we called some good stuff, honestly. Coach Jensen to create a great game plan. I thought it was awesome that when the ball needed to be thrown, it needed to be thrown. And that was kind of what we talked about all this week and just getting in a rhythm. So, 355 yards, it's something that, it's awesome. Can pat myself on the back and pat everyone else on the back for it as well. But, now I just got to kind of pile up on it and, do the same thing next week and the following week after that. So, it's really good stuff and it's made me really comfortable and made me really confident.
Yeah, and then just do you feel like the win for any 3 of you, just the win is just going into a very big game against North Dakota State just to get that confidence boost, seeing the offense succeed, seeing the defense succeed, and just carrying that into next week?
Yeah, I mean, getting a win like this we talked about it, at least from the offensive standpoint, this is a statement game for us. We didn't want to drop a third game. We wanted to, win this game, and that's what we did. So definitely high spirits, definitely the confidence level through special teams, offensively and defensively. We can now kind of say, okay, hey, we got that win under our belt. Now we're going into a tough NDSU team, but I know I was telling the offense guys after the locker room, doesn't matter if we're 1 and 2, if NDSU is 2 and 1 or 3 and 0, whatever it is. So we're going to be ready to fight, and it's in our home territory, so we'll be excited for that.
All right, thank you.
Really proud of our football team. Been a difficult couple of weeks. You go on the road, you play 2 really outstanding teams. We're a little bit beat up, honestly, coming into the week. Obviously, some changes as a result, and I thought our guys responded by coming out today and playing a really hard physical football game. Made some big plays, something we've been struggling with. Carson, that's a great game. To have a 75-yard run, to be as efficient as he was in the passing game. He operated our offense really, really well today. I think he was seeing things well. When the quarterback's playing well in the RPO game, it creates some things. We didn't run the football quite as well. We got into, and I'll take the blame for that. I think we got into a little bit of a rut there in the second and third quarter. We changed a few things. They played us a little bit differently than what we thought they were going to play us. At the same time, I want to give Cal Poly a lot of credit. That's a vastly improved football team from the team we played out there a year ago. I think they're going to win some games in the Big Sky. Much more physical on defense. They do some creative things offensively, and obviously, anytime a team can throw the football, they have the ability to move it.
Okay, we'll open it up for questions.
Hey, Coach, what was it like calling plays today?
Honestly, I had to knock a little rust off. Early, Carson just made a play. I mean, that wasn't a great play call. He just made a play on the 75-yard run. I thought, there was one drive I'd like to have back after the punt return. I'd like to have that a couple of calls on that drive back. Certainly a possession you want to come away with putting points on the board. I'll get better. I've got to be better. But certainly get you back into the flow of the game. Sometimes as a head coach, you stand around and watch, and so I had to lean on a few of the other staff people, and offensively, Coach Powell and Coach Prevost and Coach Crook and Coach Warren. They were all in slightly different roles today too, and I think the combination of that certainly took us in a positive direction.
How do you assess yourself from week to week, and do you have to take a closer look at yourself going into next week, knowing that you're calling plays now?
It changes my week a little bit. I've got to try to balance a few more footballs, so to speak. But it'll get easier every week as you get into more of a routine. And from that standpoint, as I told our guys in the locker room after the game, we got to be one step better, and that means everybody, not just our football team, but from a coaching standpoint as well.
What does that say about Brock? I know he didn't have the production maybe everyone else wanted, but what does that say about him that he worked through that injury today?
Yeah, he's a tough young man. He's all about doing what he needs to do for the team. He's a football player, and it's just too bad, that he's, that with that thing he has to play with on his hand kind of limits him a little bit, but he still was a very productive guy for us, and his leadership on the defensive side is something that's really important to us.
Did any of the other offensive assistants call a play today, or were they just all sort of just feeding into, I guess, what you were calling the game on?
I didn't understand your
Did
question.
any of the offensive assistants call a play themselves, or was it all?
Coach Pau moved up into the box. He helps, or there are times when I'm asking him for call, particularly in the passing game. So it's there's always collaboration when you call plays. It's never one guy. Heck, Carson checked a play at the line of scrimmage today that ended up being a big play for us. So I think that's part of good offensive football is having the ability for your quarterback to make some decisions. Those big throws today were him making decisions on the field in the RPO game. We can be really, really effective with that part of our offense. I guess 350 yards passing. I think we threw the ball 21, 22 times. That's pretty efficient. Combine that with the sound running game, I think that can be better than it was today. Obviously, hopefully getting Joey Lombard back and a couple of those more experienced offensive linemen will help us there.
Obviously, the running game for most of the game wasn't really, providing much production for you. But Carson was pretty good the entire game. Does that show you that, maybe you should put the ball in his hands a little bit earlier and, maybe
Part of why we were so efficient with big plays in the passing game is because we kept after him trying to run the football. And you keep after him running the football, they got to play the safeties down. You got a chance to make big plays. And so that's kind of how the RPO game works. And so, with Carson's a guy that certainly did a good job today, finding open receivers when we had called pass plays. But he did a really good job operating the RPO game today.
Did you feel like for your morale at this point of the season, it couldn't just be a win, it had to be a couple touchdown win like it was today?
I think a win's a win. I don't think it makes any difference if you win by 17 or you win by 1. The win was important to us. Like I said, those were two tough road trips against two really good football teams. And we had to play without some people today that are pretty key contributors. And as a result, some other people had to step up. Hopefully it'll be a deal where we're a little bit healthier next week than we were this week.
Obviously, Eddie missed a 46-yarder again, but he got the 22-yarder. I mean, how do you continue to evaluate the kicking game in future weeks?
Eddie certainly is capable of being more consistent. That would have been a big 3 points right before half. That provided a little bit more separation. But like I said, at Montana, I think there's nobody that's going to work any harder than Eddie Ogamba at making sure that if he gets that opportunity, he's going to put it through the uprights.
Thanks for taking the time to speak with us, Coach. With you calling plays, did you insert more RPOs into the offense this week?
Probably leaned on them just a little bit more than what we have in the past. Some of that is what Cal Poly does. They give you some things, but they played us with a pretty heavy box most of the game to try to take away because we ran the ball so effectively out there last year, and so we needed to get that ball on the perimeter more. Just so happened when we did that today that a lot of those were big plays. Big plays on the perimeter, and you say, well, you're banging your head into a wall running the football, but it's because we continued to push the running game that we set up those big plays on the perimeter, and Carson did a good job taking advantage of them.
Yep, and then just on the defensive side with Jones going out there in the first quarter, what difference did Brash present to your defense, and how do you feel like your defense adjusted to that throughout the game?
Well, he's a really experienced quarterback. He was their starter a year ago. Actually, he was the guy we expected to face when we went out there a year ago, and he was injured in the game before and so didn't play. So a lot of experience. He's obviously a very good thrower. I thought he played really, really well. And they didn't lose a tick offensively, with the exception of maybe he's not quite as mobile as the first guy, but from an execution passing game wise, they were throwing a fair amount of RPOs too. I thought he did a good job, and that's the one thing we walk away from is that, hey, we gave up some big plays defensively today that is very uncharacteristic of our defense, and I know that will be a point of emphasis here headed into this week.
Yeah, but despite those big plays, it seemed like your defense was still sticking with it throughout the game. When it was 21-7, they didn't ever let Cal Poly within a possession. Do you just feel like it's kind of their psyche to do that, because it seems like they've been able to keep games?
Yeah, there's a little bit of bend but don't break mentality there with our defense. I thought they did a good job. We got them. They were in the red zone a couple of times, and we stopped them on fourth down. Generated a couple of turnovers. Those are key, key possessions, really key possessions. So from a defensive standpoint, there's always some good. I'm sure they'd love to have 3 or 4 plays back, which would, make some of the yardage total. But the bottom line is 38-21 goes in the win column.
Yep, and then just talking about getting that win, how do you feel like just the confidence going off of this win? How do you think that'll help in preparation this week for North Dakota State?
Well, it's always easier to build off a win than a loss, and we've got some things that we can build on in this game and build off of. We're gonna have to play better. I think. Both offensively and defensively, we're going to have to play better. Obviously, a very different type of opponent next week, and we will be better.